know you from the Dragon's Den, but there's a lot of other amazing work that you do. Tell us what you're working on right now and what you've been up to.
Well, Dragon's Den has always been a very small part of my business life, but not nearly as much as my main businesses, which are energy, oil and gas, entertainment, sports, real estate, farming. So there's a bunch of other things that keep me busy.
He's not busy.
Yeah, there's more than a mitt full of things to keep me busy, and I get great pleasure out of that. But when you ask the specific question, what am I working on right now? What I'm working on is converting weekly meetings, converting weekly meetings into quarterly reports. And by that I mean I'm trying to find partners for my largest assets in terms of my real estate projects. And once I find those partners, they become my key partners. They take over. Nothing's for sale.
Of course.
Everything's for partner. So that's what I'm working on right now.
Where do you, as trends change, as the economy changes, how do you change your focus, like where your money's going, and then do you sell stuff off, or do you have to, is there, the economy has changed quite a bit in the last 2 years, so talk about that a little bit.
True, but the two areas that I'm comfortable, and maybe I've missed some great opportunities in other areas, but I understand oil and gas. I've been financing oil and gas for 25 years. That's been business. And then, as many of my oil and gas friends have been doing, we invest in real estate. Contrary to my real estate friends who all want to invest in oil and gas. But those are the two worlds I know. Unlike mining or high tech or other areas, the bulk of my wealth is in those two areas. That's what I know, and I look after them well.
What is the advice that you can give young people investing in stuff? What is it that we should be putting our money into? Because some of us don't have a lot of it. So what can we do?
I would always argue that if you've only got $1 or maybe $1,000 to invest, the first $1 go into education. You never know enough. And the second $1 go into experience.
Awesome.
So too often I see people wanting to start their own businesses because they get this great idea. And let's, by example, say here's a young kid fresh out of school and wants to get into the restaurant business. My first question is, how many years have you worked in a restaurant? Oh, well, I was a waiter. Okay, how many years? And have you ever been fired as a waiter? Have you ever worked at the front end? Have you worked as a bellman? Have you worked in the kitchen? Have you worked every aspect? And until you've been through, I'd say 5 years of work experience, you're really not yet ready. Now, can you do it? Absolutely. The stories abound of people who jump into the game and do it with very little experience. But I believe the odds of success, the odds of a quality product, whether it's a service or a product, go way up with real experience. So.
How do you balance, that social persona, because it's now out there, and wherever you go, you can't turn it off, versus that personal persona? Like, do you get that time?
I'm more recognized today than when I was live on the show, and I haven't been on that show in 3 years. But that really speaks to the power of the show. But what that show's done incredibly well is plant seeds of entrepreneurship. So if I can be part of nurturing the crop of our Canadians who want to be someday entrepreneurs, I don't care if they're 80 or 3, we're planting seeds of entrepreneurship. And that's, for me, probably the biggest thrill, the biggest excitement. The cost for that is I get recognized in elevators, cabs, and across Canada and wherever Canadians go.
Anecdotes that you've learned in your life, do you find that there's a common pattern that never leaves you? Like, there's some things that are always constant when it comes to business and lessons in business?
I am passionate about believing that the study of marketing, entrepreneurship, and philanthropy is going to change the world, especially the world of those who choose to study it.
But what is your legacy? What do you want people to know about you? Where is it that you want to be remembered?
I think the most obvious legacy will be my children. And I hope they are good people, that they're contributing members of society, because we all have a choice about making the world just a little better than how we lived in, or make the world better tomorrow than it was today kind of conversation. I've done a lot of work in my life in terms of looking at ways where I can inspire others to be better. So inspiring others to be better is a very common sentence that I use in my life. I want to be impactful in terms of doing strategic philanthropy.
Wonderful.
And I've got a lot of thoughts on where that can go.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for your time. Ladies and gentlemen, on Sharad's Lunchbox and Imagination Dialogue, Brett Wilson.